relationship, and I cherish it. I too have visited Israel on 2 separate occasions, met with many folks in that country, and it was an experience that I will always cherish and remember very, very fondly. I'm an ardent supporter of Israel. You know, we have a role to play to help our friends. Israel faces a very real threat to its very existence from Iran. Israel's enemies must recognize Israel's right to exist within secure borders. And they must renounce terrorism as a precondition for a lasting peace. And yes, Israel has a right to enforce a lawful legal blockade to keep terrorist armaments out of the Gaza Strip. And I stood up and said that at the time. You know, it's time the Obama administration stop issuing ultimatums to Israel and damaging relations with this nation that has stood by our side as a reliable ally. From the snubbing of the Prime Minister Netanyahu to the hysterical overreaction to an early stage approval by a mid-level bureaucrat of a housing development in North Jerusalem, which was, by the way, not even an area of dispute, the current administration has mismanaged our relationship with Israel. Now, more than ever, Israel needs friends in Congress. And I will continue to be that friend. So I will look forward to your questions this evening, and I know we're going to have a lively discussion. And again, as I said many times, you know, serving you in the United States House of Representatives has been the greatest opportunity, honor, responsibility, and privilege of my life after my family. And again, so thank you for this opportunity, and look forward to receiving your questions.
Okay, you got the applause out of your system. I'm going to ask you not to applaud anymore to the individual answers. And our first question tonight is about health care. Both of the candidates mentioned jobs tonight, but health care is much on the Americans' mind. Over the past year, I apologize. What would you do if you were in Congress next year? What would you do to change or improve the current health policy legislation?
On health care, I do a number of things. First, we had a massive debate on this issue, as you know. It was very frustrating. For me personally, I was invited to the White House in May of 2009 to discuss health care with Rahm Emanuel. The President came into the meeting. I recommended various medical liability reforms. Rahm Emanuel said, "We're going to do that, Charlie." I said, "Great, Rahm. What are you going to do?" He told me. I said, "Rahm, that's great. I'll support you. It's not going to save you money, but I have some more ideas for you." So we had a nice conversation. The President chimed in. Yes, we're going to do medical liability reform. When the bill was written and presented to the American people, not one word on American liability reform. Why did that happen? The President of the United States said it was going to happen, and it didn't happen. He told me and 12 other members in the White House there was going to be liability reform. Why? Because the trial lawyers didn't want it. Howard Dean said it very well. So what we need to do is control costs. That is the first order of business. The law deals with expanding coverage, but it does not deal with cost containment. That's why this law is going to fail. It will fail, and it will lead to rationing. So what we should do is medical liability reform. We should allow small businesses to pull together, reach across state lines so they can receive greater discounts when they purchase insurance, get out from under the state insurance mandates. We should also make sure that individuals can buy insurance across state lines. That is something that we can do. And that will make a very meaningful difference. Because right now, we don't have that in America. One other thing that I think we also need to really focus on, making sure that the federal bureaucrat can't step between you and your doctor. We need to protect that. We need that type of Patient's Bill of Rights, Medical Rights Act. That's extremely important. So health care is going to be an issue that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to defund much of this health care law. The employer mandate's not going to work. The individual mandate is problematic. Many of these tax hikes have to go. The 1099 provision in the health care law. If you pay more than $600 to a vendor, you have to issue a 1099 form. A paperwork nightmare. So there's so many issues that we are going to have to address. We're going to be spending years addressing this, and I hope we have more opportunities to talk about health care tonight. Thank you.
I need to apologize. I should have stopped the congressman from coming to the podium. We're going to answer these questions from the tables.
Thanks. Well, it sounds to me like the first step that Congressman Dent would take around health care reform was he'd repeal the bill, which is he'd repeal the bill. And that would be a mistake. That would essentially be taking all the, I mean, who here wants to see the ability of the insurance companies to deny you coverage due to a pre-existing condition? Who doesn't want to have the opportunity to cover other kids up to the age of 26 on their health insurance if they don't have a job that gives them health insurance? So that's Charlie Dent's plan, is to go back to the old policies of before. We all know what has happened in the course of the last 6 years with health care premiums. In the time that Charlie Dent's been in Congress, health care premiums have gone up by 34%. We all recognize that this is a central issue to this country and our ability not just to provide health care for our citizens, but to be competitive in the global marketplace. Charlie Dent wants to go backwards and not forwards. He wants to repeal the bill. He doesn't want to improve on it, he wants to repeal it. There is medical liability reform in the bill. There are demonstration projects set up, and I think we should move forward with further medical liability reform going forward. But the reality is that there's not a day goes by that I don't talk to a senior citizen that's caught in the donor hole trying to make a decision between paying their rent or paying for their prescription drug coverage. And the list goes on. And Charlie Dent doesn't see that as a problem. He said when he got elected 6 years ago that this was issue one. It's not about rhetoric, it's about results. And he has done nothing to move this country forward when it comes to health care. And meanwhile, he's accepted $350,000 from those same medical insurance companies. And it's just wrong.
Our next question has to do with senior citizens and Social Security. What is your plan to ensure the future of Social Security, and do you believe in any kind of a privatization of Social Security? And Mayor Callahan, this goes to you first.
Thank you, Glenn. In my opinion, Social Security, and Medicare for that matter, is a promise that we have made to our seniors, and one that I intend to keep as a member of Congress. Charlie Dent has taught, and the Morning Call has accused him of this, of playing word games with his support for privatization. He wanted to take your Social Security check and gamble that on Wall Street. Imagine, with the 40% losses in Wall Street over the course of the last 3 years, what would have happened to your Social Security benefits. I don't know anybody in this room that's on Social Security that could get by with 40% less than what they're getting right now. I've been endorsed by the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. They've endorsed me, and they too have called out Charlie for his role in promoting privatization. Charlie Dent talked about supporting John Boehner as the next Speaker of the House. John Boehner wants to privatize Social Security. John Boehner wants to take the retirement age and move it to 70%. And John Boehner wants to take Medicare and make it a voucher program. He wants to take the seniors, send seniors out in the street to compete with a voucher for medical insurance in this country. Folks, those are not my priorities. That's not the direction that we should go in this country. What we need to do in this country to shore up Social Security is get a handle on our debt and deficits. No more bailouts. Institute pay-as-you-go principles in this country. In D.C. they call it pay-as-you-go. Here in the Lehigh Valley we call it common sense. We need to, again, end the bailouts. We need to reward innovation. And finally, we need to free spending. There's a lot of folks sitting around the kitchen table in the Lehigh Valley right now trying to figure out what they can and can't do without. And I think that same conversation needs to be had in Washington, D.C. Charlie Dent has supported $3 trillion in new debt, and he's tripled the national deficit, making it very hard for us to shore up Social Security going forward.
Thank you. Well, Mayor, you're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You have made several charges tonight that are simply false about deregulating Wall Street. I was not in Congress when some of those bills were brought up, but you continue to make that statement, which is